Hi all, good evening. Welcome to the Business Analyst Training Session. I see a lot of new participants today. Can we have a brief introduction about each of the new participants? We have Malik, David, Sonia and Soumya. Could you please introduce yourself? Malik, could you please start?
Hi, my name is Mohammed Malik. I am currently residing in Massachusetts, Boston, and I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. I did my bachelor's degree from London. Um, I have been working over here at a car dealership at a position of as a manager, and now I'm looking to change my um, job to for better understanding of business analyst.
Okay, so you're looking for a business analyst job profile within the software industry, right? Or is this a domain-specific industry
Yes.
relating to mechanical engineering? What type of a business analyst program are you looking for, or a job role that you're looking for?
To be honest, I'm open for any because I want to enter this field. I've heard a lot of my friends are doing it,
Yeah,
and they've got a good they've got good jobs and they're making good money,
you're right.
and that got me interested in this field.
Okay. And how many years of experience do you hold, Mr. Malik?
In the job like the job I've had
Overall industrial experience?
1.5 year.
1.5 years. Okay. Okay, most welcome to the training session. So here on the business analyst program, we will be covering various aspects of business analysis process, starting from fundamentals to an intermediate level and to an advanced level. And we will also be training you on project management, some basics of project management, and some of the programming concepts like working with Excel spreadsheet, various features within Excel, and you'll also learn how to write SQL programs and how to create visualization using Tableau. So all these could help you also get into a data analysis kind of a profile, right? So you can either get into business analyst with testing or quality assurance kind of knowledge or the work profile, or you can also take up a project coordinator role or a data analysis kind of profile in combination with the business analysis. So this is the right place for you if you're looking for a career move or a career change to get into the business analyst domain for the software industry.
Yes, perfect.
Great. Most welcome to the session. Can we have the next participant introduce themselves? David? David, could you please introduce?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, David. Good evening. Could you please introduce yourself? What are you currently working on? Or if you're a student?
Hello.
Yes, David, please go ahead. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm David. I say from Uganda Institute of Communication and Technology. I'm a Cisco Certified Network Associate. I worked in telecom industry for over 10 years.
Okay.
And what brings me here today, I wanted to get more experience, more knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a new field for me. So I just wanted to get more knowledge. Currently, I'm working in healthcare
Okay.
in Massachusetts. Yeah.
Okay, so you are working as a business analyst within the healthcare domain?
Not really. I'm just trying to get into the field. This is a new concept on my side.
Okay. Okay, so you would like to become a business analyst or take up a business analyst job within the healthcare domain? Is that what you're looking for?
Exactly.
Okay, so prior to it, you have about 10 years of experience in networking domain,
Yes, please.
in the networking domain, but currently you're not into networking domain as such, right?
No,
So
no.
as a part of networking, where you also involved in telecommunication processes?
Yes, please.
You were. Okay, so most welcome to the session. One good
Thank you.
thing is when you have a good telecommunication and network protocol knowledge, getting into a telecommunication industry with a business analyst domain expertise is really going to help you, because there are so many companies that are coming up with products relating to network switching routers and new telecommunication protocols, network protocols that are required for voice over internet protocol or any other telecom based new development or technologies that are coming up in the market, right? So for those product developments, you could very well serve as a business analyst by learning the business analysis process that we will be thoroughly teaching you as a part of this program. So you
Thank you so
already
much.
have the domain knowledge pertaining to telecom and networking. So you'll have to understand the business analysis process, which is going to be much easier because already you've been in the industry. So I would say getting hands-on with the business analysis process, and in combination with your domain expertise, you can do really good. Of course, with your healthcare domain, which you've been practicing, business analysts within the healthcare domain or the pharma domain is really doing good in the market these days, along with the other domain specialization like HR or manufacturing, or be it your CPG. There are many banking domain as well. So whichever domain you name it, there is no domain specification, or there isn't any specific domain that we will be targeting as a part of this program. But we will try to cover all the concepts relating to the business analysis process, which can be used across the industry, irrespective of whichever domain that you choose to work.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, great. Most welcome.
Thank you.
Sonia, could you please introduce yourself?
Uh, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Sonia.
Okay. All right. So I'm Sonia. I live in upstate New York. I did, I came here with an MCA, and then I worked for a very short time in a hospital, and then I took a break raising my kids, and then I've been working from home for the last over 2 years now, but it's not in the IT field. So I'm looking to go back into the IT field. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, so currently you're working from home for any process-oriented job. Is that, or is that
No,
into?
I'm not working since June,
Okay,
but like I said, I worked for TurboTax and then a cable company. So it was not IT, but it was just dealing with some customer service with some office work.
okay, okay. Welcome to the session, Sunyam. So you have already pursued MCA. So I'm sure that you would have learned various concepts relating to software engineering. So there would have been subjects where you would have concentrated more about object-oriented system design or object-oriented analysis and design, and software engineering subjects that deals more with the software engineering practices. So that will help you a lot with the business analysis process that you'll be learning as a part of this business analyst program that which we're conducting here with the TechieBees. Um, you can start your career, restart your career in the software industry by learning the business analysis process completely. And as a part of this program, we will be giving you the basics, intermediate, and the advanced knowledge in combination with other skill sets that can enhance your skill sets as a business analyst. So most welcome, and we look forward to having you in the session.
Thank you.
Soumya, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Soumya,
Yes,
and
Soumya.
I'm a recent graduate. I came here to do my master's in industrial engineering.
Okay.
Prior to this, I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, right now I'm interested to kind of switch fields, and I figured since I don't have any kind of coding background,
Yeah.
BA might be a start for me to get into it.
Okay.
But eventually I would like to move on to be a business analyst, with along with Salesforce, Salesforce business analyst.
Perfect. Okay.
So yeah, I thought I'll start off by getting trained for being a business analyst, and I'm definitely interested uh, for what you just said. You mentioned that you
Yeah.
can get into say a business analyst
Yeah.
as well as a QA,
Mm.
testing and
Right.
a business analyst or a data analyst, right? That is
Right.
definitely something I'm interested in because in my masters we did deal with a bit of data analysis, and
Mhm.
I really enjoyed
So
studying it.
which tool
So
did you use for data analytics? Did you work on MATLAB?
not exactly MATLAB, but it was more of a statistical tool. It's called Minitab.
Oh, you have worked on Minitab. Okay.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
good. So are you interested towards process improvement or Six Sigma?
Yes,
You are.
we had that course. We had to do a course project on it as well. I
Right.
really enjoyed Six Sigma, and we also had another subject called system simulation.
Okay.
We worked on the software called Arena, basically developing a model of the real-life working system.
Oh, you
Put
have
in,
ARIMA knowledge, working on ARIMA?
yeah,
Okay, auto regression. Okay, that's really good to know, Samya. It shows that you have some statistical background as well. So
yeah,
this is going to be a very good program for you, of course, to everyone here. Uh, what way you could be benefited is you are trying to do your master's in industrial engineering, so which is a domain that's also referred to as manufacturing. Okay, so as a business analyst, you could very well take up a job in any of the manufacturing industry or a production-based industry that deals with manufacturing of goods. It could be of any nature.
okay,
One good thing about having these subjects learned in your bachelor's and your master's, Six Sigma process improvement will also be involved in the business analysis activities. Right, so we
okay,
will learn some of the concepts relating to how a Six Sigma group will be involved, or how, as a business analyst, how will you interact or involve yourself with a Six Sigma group, and how do you contribute to the process improvement, say in the as a system study or the to be system study. So when we talk about a system study, it's not just the software. At times you may have to also work on a mission-based system, the as mission system and the to be mission system. The only difference is you will be working on your mission drawing concepts, or you'll be creating conceptual diagrams relating to your domain. Right, you could use an AutoCAD, but the concepts that you learn here could be put to use in an industrial engineering organization or a manufacturing company. Right, so
okay,
you could also get into quality assurance kind of activities, but this course will be more specific to software testing lifecycle. So we will be covering the various aspects of software testing. So if you are working on any of the new product developments or a software development within the manufacturing unit, or be it from a mechanical domain, from a mission perspective, I think this is going to be the right course for you, because as a business analyst, you'll know all the details pertaining to the business analysis process, how to create various diagrams and documents, and of course you can put to use your academic learnings too.
okay. Thank you.
Most welcome. Right, and welcoming the existing students as well who have been there with us from the past two sessions. Welcome you all to the session. Let's start off. Okay, so in our previous sessions, we have covered details relating to what is business analysis. We had an introduction to business analysis. We have seen the training curriculum pertaining to business analysis. So as a part of the training program, I did mention to you all that we will be covering all the concepts relating to the business analysis processes, various templates, documents, diagrams that we would cover on Visio or Visual Paradigm, wireframing that we will cover, or we will be learning how to do that on using a tool called Pencil. And then we will be learning the software testing lifecycle or the quality assurance process. Project management, we will learn how to create a project management plan, project charter, how to create timeline, Gantt chart, and to some extent we will also see how to use MS Project. And then we will also learn all the concepts relating to Excel and how to automate process or work within Excel using Excel VBA and macros. We will also cover SQL or TSQL programming. The SQL programming that you learn can be used on SQL Server, Oracle, MS Access, MySQL. So it's going to be the basic SQL statements to the intermediate level, that's up to joins, which is going to be very useful to you for data extraction and data manipulation. We will also cover Tableau for visualization. We will cover visualization of on Excel, how to create visualization using Excel, latest version of Excel, and we will also see how to use Tableau, the latest version of Tableau, to create visualization. And then we will also help you with your interview preparation. 100 to 200 questions will be given to you with the answers, starting from your personal questions to subject related questions, that is business analysis based questions. That will help you prepare yourself for the interview. And once you are ready to take up the interview, the placement group will help you with your resume preparation. We will also help you with mock interviews if you wish to have an interview with us prior to taking up the actual interview process with the company. So this is what we can offer you as a part of this program. We have already covered various concepts relating to business analysis, basic concepts. That's what's the role of a business analyst in a software company. How different is the business analyst role in a software company from a domain specific company? What are the various competencies, skill sets that you should gain as a business analyst? And then we have also seen some concepts relating to how do you perform requirement elicitation? What are the various techniques involved in requirement elicitation process? What is requirement elicitation? Requirement gathering is referred to as the requirement elicitation. We have also seen details relating to enterprise analysis, how enterprise analysis is different from business analysis. And we have seen samples relating to the visualization. So what are the type of visualizations that we would have? What is the BA's role in quality assurance? How different is the project manager's or a project management role from a business analysis role? What is data modeling? Basics of data modeling. What do you mean by unified modeling language? What will you learn as a part of the unified modeling language? What are the various documents in which a business analyst would work? What is software development lifecycle? A brief about 6 different phases involved in the software development lifecycle. So this is a brief of what has been covered so far. Today we will start with the business architecture. So what is the business architecture? The business architecture is a set of documentation that defines an organization's current and future capabilities. As new business opportunity turns into a proposed project or proposed projects, a business architecture determines changes in the business, IT system that supports the business. The enterprise architecture, on the other hand, it comprises of the business architecture, information architecture, application architecture, technology architecture, and IT security architecture. Basically, when we define about the architecture, it defines the capability of the current and the future expectations that a stakeholder or an internal point of contact can have about the organization. It is a documentation that will clearly say what are the kind of businesses or what are the kind of infrastructure support or the architecture that the organization currently has, and what are the various advanced architecturing concepts or advanced facilities or services that the organization can render to the external stakeholder, to the other company, or to a third party. So always the capability of organization should be documented, and that goes into the actual audit process, right? So whenever you as a company, you have to project yourself or you have to showcase what are the capabilities of your organization. All these documents will be very handy when you present to a client, a possible client whom you are trying to get a business from, to say, this is the strength of our organization, or these are the capabilities of our organization. So how is that divided? Based on business, what are the capabilities? Based on information architecture or IT or software, what are the capabilities? Application architecture, what are the various advanced applications which have been created and used within the organization, and some of the applications that you can present to your client. Technology-based architecture, what are the advanced technologies that the organization has already adapted or has been using to create systems or softwares. IT security architecture, most important, because these days it's very easy to hack an application. So what is the kind of an IT security capability that the organization holds to provide security to the software or the system that gets created? So you'll have to present all these concepts to your client to gain their confidence when you're trying to get a project or a new business opportunity from the client, be it in any domain, irrespective of the domain. If it's going to be a business analysis role within a software industry, you must be thorough or you must be prepared with all these documents. And as a business analyst, your responsibility is to improve the business, improve IT, and improve process. So when you talk about improve business, improve IT, and improve the process, all these documents are relating to that. A business architecture is relating to your process improvement. Information architecture, application architecture, and technology architecture are relating to IT improvement. Next, you have the business improvement. So as a part of the business improvement, you will work more towards the business architecture. And the process architecture in turn will help you create a good business. IT infrastructure management and IT security architecture is mainly used to improvise the IT capabilities of the organization. Analyzing the gaps between the current and future business architectures to determine the changes required in the future. So as a business analyst, it is not just the software development that you will be involved in, but you will also perform the assess capabilities of the organization. If there is a project in the near future, you should have all supporting documents pertaining to the capabilities of the organization divided into the business capability, process capability, and the information technology capability that you can present to your future clients. What are the various terminologies that you must know to be a good business analyst? One, what is a project? Who is a stakeholder of a project? Who is a business sponsor or who are business sponsors? Who are external customers or end users? What is an internal team or a development team? Who's a tester? Who's a project manager? Who's a program manager? What's a software development life cycle? Business and functional requirements. What is a domain? And what is a technology? What do you mean by technology? Right, so these are various terminologies that you must understand to be successful in your business analyst role. So these are just basic terminologies to start with. There are various terminologies that you will learn over a period of time. So what is a project? A project is an endeavor or a task, could be from an external stakeholder or an internal stakeholder. Who's a stakeholder of a project? Individual or individuals who provide the requirement or who create a project, who says there is a business, one who gives a business to you. So what is a project? A project is nothing but a business that you get from your stakeholder. It could be an external stakeholder or an internal stakeholder. If the party or the individual or the organization giving you the business is external to your organization, they are a different company altogether, they are a third party source, then they are referred to as external stakeholders. Who's an internal stakeholder? A different department within your organization, a process oriented or operations oriented department that can come up with a business lead or a new, what is a business? As a business analyst within the software company or a development group, a lead for you or a business for you is a new software product to be developed, a software or a product. A software is also referred to as a product or an application or a web application. So the stakeholders can be external to your organization or they can be internal to the organization. Each of the stakeholder will surely be a business owner. A stakeholder can be a point of contact who will be with you or who will interact with you during every phase of the software development life cycle. 6 different phases: planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, maintenance. A point of contact, be it from the external group, external company, or it's from your company, will provide you all the required details for you to understand what are the requirements to create an application or a software. Why is it needed? What is the business purpose of it? And what are the various functionalities within the system? High level functionality, granular level functionality, and they will also help you differentiate the functional requirements and the non-functional requirements. Within functional requirements of the system, they will also explain you what are the various sub-functionalities or modules within a system. Your external customer or the end user is an individual or a set of point of contact from an external organization or from your organization who would be responsible for giving you the business as well as participating in the testing phase. They will not be much worried about the SDLC, the software development life cycle, because they will have their own point of contact who will be interacting with you on a day-to-day basis to help you understand what is the system that has to be created, and they will provide you with all the required data. If there is a third-party source from which you are expecting a set of data or for you to go ahead with the system development, it's the external stakeholders point of contact who will be helping you with that. But an external customer's one is an individual who's going to be involved in having an initial discussion with you to give you a business idea of what the system should be all about, and then they will participate in some of the agile sprint sessions. We will see what is agile and what is Scrum and sprint in our future sessions. We'll see that in detail. External customer will participate in helping you understand the business at a high level, and then they will also participate in testing, end user testing or user acceptance testing, to see if the product developed matches the requirements that they had given you during the initial phases of the discussion, requirement gathering sessions. Internal team or development team means developers who will be working with the actual implementation of the system. They are technically trained. A development team consists of junior software engineers, system analysts, software engineers, senior software engineers, module lead, technical architect. Other than these roles, you will also find program managers. Program managers would have worked as technical leads and technical architects, and then along with the technical knowledge, they also get into management activities. So that's why they are called as program managers. A program manager's role is different from a project manager's role. A program manager will be much worried about, or he would take care of, the technical aspects of the entire software development. They will be involved in the programming concepts, or how do they delegate tasks to the other junior levels within their department, the development team, who can actually implement the system. So a program manager must be technically sound. He must know the programming languages in which the development for the system would take place. On the other hand, we have already seen what a project manager will do. A project manager will be responsible for managing the project, making sure that the required human resources and system resources for the project are organized. Budget for the project or project estimate is created. Billing for the human and the system resources are planned well in advance. Who's a tester? A tester is a part of the quality assurance group who will be responsible for testing the applications created, or is testing the software that gets created. We will see software testing life cycle in detail in our future sessions. We have already seen what is software development life cycle. The entire process, starting from interacting with the stakeholder, be it the external stakeholder or the internal stakeholder, up to support and maintenance, is referred to as the software development life cycle. What are business and functional requirements? Requirements that you gather during the requirement elicitation phase using various requirement elicitation techniques, which we have already seen. So what are the various requirement elicitation techniques? Brainstorming, document analysis, review existing documentation, focus group interviews, job shadowing or observation, prototyping, that could be a storyboarding, paper prototyping, or it could be a whiteboard prototyping, requirements workshop, surveys and questionnaires. So we have briefly seen what each one of these mean in a software industry. A requirement that explains the business needs is referred to as a business requirement. Requirements that define the system functionality is referred to as the functional requirement. BA must also be good at domain. What are the various domains in which a business analyst job role is created? HR domain, project management domain, capital market, investment banking, core banking, accounting, manufacturing, CPG, that stands for consumer product goods, FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, logistics, again relating to CPG and FMCG, We have digital marketing, which is a very popular domain in the market these days. We also have email marketing and campaign marketing. That's a different domain altogether. That's more involved in marketing. Put together, sales and marketing requires business analyst role. We also have healthcare domain, pharma benefits management, PBM. There are various domains. Retail domain, most important. Retail is also doing good these days in the market. There are so many domains in which a business analyst is required. A product development happens in each and every domain. So wherever there is a product development, there has to be a translation of the requirements that you get from your external stakeholder or the internal stakeholder. What type of a translation happens? A business requirement and a domain specific information put together gives you the overall business requirements. A business requirement must get translated into a functionality of the system or a functional requirement. So the translation process from a business requirement to a functional requirement, further to a functional system design, and to a high level technical specification is the main job that a business analyst will carry out on a day-to-day basis. What are the various technologies that the business analyst must be aware of? Common technologies include .NET development. What are the variants available in .NET? We have ASP.NET for web development, C#.NET for scripting, VB.NET for application development. We also have a programming language called Visual Basic for application that is required in Open Office automation. All the MS Office applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Access can be automated using VBA, Visual Basic Application. So in the future session, we will see how to work on Excel VBA, basics of Excel VBA. Other than these, we have Java. Within Java, we have core Java programming, J2EE, Java scripting, JSP, that is Java Servlet Page, PHP, that is used for web development. We have business intelligence tools, data analytics tools, C++ based system applications that gets created, be it in networking or telecom domain, where primarily you work on network protocols. C++, mostly C++ is widely used because that is an object-oriented programming language. So you must know the basics of programming. Just the programming languages at least. You must know what are the types of databases that are available. SQL Server, Oracle, Teradata, MySQL, Sybase. You also have big data analytics. So what is big data analytics? It's very popular in the industry. So you must know the term big data analytics. And what do they do in big data analytics? The data is so huge. The growth of data is so huge. The volume increases within a few seconds or minutes. So you must have a data source that supports the huge growth of volume of data. How is that done? What are the various applications available within big data? There are open databases that are available for big data implementation. So we have MongoDB, Cassandra, that are NoSQL based, and it is primarily used for storing huge volume of data. Other than that, we have various other concepts relating to big data. So if you get into a big data analytics project, you might have to work as a business analyst for the entire big data analytics process or a product development that takes place. So a business analyst role is not specific to any particular domain or a new technology that is coming up in the market. As a developer, you will know only the basic concepts relating to a particular technology to start with. Then you get at an intermediate level of programming and then the advanced level of programming. By then you would have completed at least 8 years to 10 years of service within that technology. What if that technology gets outdated? So there's a must that you have to keep yourself updated as a developer. But as a business analyst, one good thing is they will not have a lot of technical expectation from you, because I have already told you what is the difference between a business analyst role from a business system analyst role and a system analyst role. Right? A system analyst is going to be technically sound with 100% technical knowledge, who can also participate in white box testing. And to some extent, they can also contribute to gray box testing, which is a combination of black box and white box testing. But as a business analyst, be it whatever the technology that comes to the market in whichever domain. In a mechanical domain, today we have AutoCAD. Tomorrow to present the mission drawings or to present the product development using a different type of drawing, there can be a new software that can get created. So you can become a business analyst for those kind of product development. Or there could be a new product that's getting created to measure the accuracy of a particular mission component, right? These days, most of the manufacturing industries are using softwares that are embedded within the missions that gets used for production activities. So you can be a business analyst for creating those kind of softwares that gets embedded or that gets amended or included within the manufacturing products. Healthcare domain, hospital management, or a laboratory management, diagnostic center management. So one of the projects that we will be seeing as a part of this business analyst program is the DAGSoft. So what is DAGSoft? The entire diagnostic center gets automated. How is that done? And what are the various aspects captured as a part of the automation for the diagnostic center? There's another project that we will see for our SRS, that is cafeteria ordering system. How is that getting automated? What are the various aspects involved in automation of the cafeteria ordering system? And we will see a domain specific project which is referred to as the NPES, that is N Performance Enhancement System, for automation of software assessment processing within the data quality division of an organization. There are two perspectives of a project. One is project management perspective and another is the software development lifecycle perspective. A project from a PM perspective will have initiation, planning, execution, control and closure. But the meaning of it is different when it comes to the same set of phases within the software development lifecycle. So within a project management, what is initiation? Means starting the project. Planning refers to planning the project. Executing the project plan. A project plan will only contain milestones. It will not contain technical details. Technical details and the business details about the project or the system to be created is well represented in the entire phases defined within the software development lifecycle. So that is the main difference between a project manager's role and a business analyst's role. Execution involves executing the project, and in SDLC, execution means implementation or the system creation. The business requirement, once translated to the functional requirement, goes to the development team for implementation, wherein the coding is carried out. The functional requirement or the system functionalities are then translated into the actual system screens or the user interfaces, for which programming language is a must. The entire functionality of the system gets divided into front end of the system and the back end of the system. A front end of the system will take care of user-based interactions or the graphical user interface that allows the user interact with the software. Back end of the application or the software refers to data that is input through the front end should be validated, verified, and corresponding data manipulation should happen in the back end. And if a new data is an outcome of the data that is given as an input to the software, that data should get saved. So where will that get saved? Either a flat file system or XML, JSON, or a database or a data warehouse is required. So when it comes to database, we will see in detail how a database is created, what is normalization, what is the difference between relational database management system, that is RDBMS, and data warehouse. What do you mean by data mart and a data lake within the data warehouse? In control phase of a project, the project manager will make sure that the project is in control and the milestones are met. If the milestones of the project are not met, and if there is a slippage in the milestone, or if the timeline set for the project crosses the required dates within which the project activity or the task should be completed, and if the resource billing exceeds the task dates or the timeline, it means the project is out of control. In software development lifecycle, control means within a set period, the functionalities of the system must get created. Each of the functionality and sub-functionalities or modules are delegated to junior engineers within the development team, which are again supervised by module leads, technical architects, program managers, technical managers within the development team. If there is a slippage in the development of a module, of course, all other modules will take a lot more effort for completion. There are two important terminologies that you must know. One is called engineering effort and another is referred to as a management effort. What is the difference? What is the engineering effort required to create a module or the functionality of the system? That translates the functional requirement or a functionality of a system into the actual interface or the back end of the system is referred to as the core implementation phase of the software development lifecycle, and the engineering effort or the effort that's put by the engineers within the development group to give a physical structure to the software, translating the use case and a functional requirement into the actual system. Next is a closure. When it comes to a closure, within project management, lessons learned will be captured. Within software development lifecycle, what have been the various risks that have been faced as a part of the complete SDLC implementation will be captured. Though the phases look the same between project management and SDLC, each of it has a different definition. A business analyst is placed with the software development lifecycle processes, and a project management manager is placed within the project management office to carry out various phases involved in the project management. The tools used by a project manager is different from the tools that get used or that is used by the business analyst. A project manager will be primarily working on MS project, that's Microsoft project, to create a project, manage resources and billing related information for the resources. Resources is not just the human resource. It could also be any of the resources that is procured for the organization. System-based resources, or in short you can call it as IT resources and non-IT resources. How these are captured by the project manager on the MS project or any project management application, and how efficiently various phases of the project are carried out. How is a milestone tracked by a project manager? SDLC, on the other hand, the business analyst will be working on Excel, documentation, MS Visio. So we will be covering MS Visio in detail. We will cover all the possible diagrams in MS Visio because that is the tool that is frequently used. That is the main tool that is used in most of the software companies to create the system overview. Other than that, we will also see how to use visual paradigm for use case modeling and the other tools which I have already explained you. What is a BA outcome? Properly conducted business analysis mandates the formal documentation of all requirements. Nothing can remain hidden or left to verbal agreement. Visibility, traceability, accountability. Visibility stands for what is visible or can be determined as in scope or what is available for analysis. What is traceability? What can be traced or looked back and mapped to the process. This entire thing is referred to as process mapping. Can be a requirement traceability matrix, RTM, for requirements and testing. Accountability, being accountable and taking ownership of any given analysis or task. So these are the expected business analysis outcome. Project. A project is an endeavor or a task undertaken to create a unique product, service or result. A project does not just mean software development. As a business analyst, you may also be involved in process implementation. So for process implementation, it would be more of operation specific. Or you could also be involved in analyzing a process. While you analyze a process, you will have to go through the systems that are involved in the process. If the entire process is manual, there are no softwares that are involved in the process, then you have to come up with new initiatives of how you can create a product that can automate the existing process, which is manual in nature. The other way of analyzing the existing system is you will go through the existing process. Most of the companies will have a software that is being used to implement a process. So that software gets analyzed and you will be working on the as-is process modeling, which means you will create a process model for the existing process. There could be manual intervention in the existing system or the software that requires a new system or a new component to be introduced within the existing system that can reduce the time consumed in the actual software implementation or the process implementation. If it takes a lot of time to use the existing software, then the best solution is for you to create a new software that can replace the existing software or introduce new components or functionalities within the existing software that becomes an enhanced version of the existing software. A project can create a product that can be either a component of another item or an end item itself. A capability to perform a service, a business function that supports production or distribution. A result such as an outcome or document. So this is what a project means. as a business analyst, you will be working a lot with the project management group. A business analyst must and should work with a project manager to give various inputs about the entire software that gets developed or the system development that takes place so that the project manager can capture the milestones within the project that should be achieved on time. What is a new initiative? A brand new project from the scratch is referred to as a new initiative. Projects that have already been started and are in progress are referred to as ongoing efforts. What are the various budgets that you can deal with when it comes to a project? CapEx project and OpEx project. A CapEx project is funded from the capital budget. On the other hand, the OpEx project is funded from the operational budget. What is the difference between a capital budget and an operational budget? In a capital budget, the money or the investment that is made as the capital investment for the business execution is referred to as a capital budget or the capital investment. The money that is allotted from a capital investment that is invested for the running of the entire business is referred to as the capital budget. It's a part of the money that comes from the capital investment made for the entire business. It's not from a particular operation from which the money comes from. Typically, long and multi-year projects will get money from the CapEx budget because CapEx or the capital investment will be a huge amount compared to the operational budget. So what is a budget? A budget means whatever is the money that is allocated to a business unit for the implementation of a process or an operation. So if you ask me, a development group is a business unit. The main work of a development group is to develop the product. Quality assurance is a different business unit that takes care of the quality assurance practice for the product development. Right? Similarly, there are different business units within a software company. Can be brand new application development projects, and it will involve large number of resources, and there'll be huge billing done. So a CapEx project will have a huge project estimate and a huge capital budget that gets allotted for the project implementation. On the other hand, we have the OpEx or the operational expense for the project. It is funded from the operational budget. It is shorter in duration, could be between 6 months to 1 year. Smaller team sizes, so smaller teams are formed to implement the project. BAs also act as a project manager within the operational projects. In-house projects, development work is done within the organization and it is not outsourced. So this is one example of an OpEx project where the in-house project is funded from the operational expense. Vendor built projects, development and project implementation is done by a vendor like XYZ, whichever other company. On the other hand, we have customizing OTSS, that is modifying a pre-built software to suit the business needs of the organization. So how different is OTSS from a vendor built project? In a vendor built project, the development and project implementation on the whole gets outsourced to another company, and the other company is referred to as a vendor to your company. Customizing OTSs means a software gets created in your company. It is a pre-built software that requires some type of a customization to make it suitable for the business need of other organization. So this kind of software development is very common these days because the companies do not want to spend a lot of time creating softwares from the scratch. For example, there are many finance-based softwares which involves all the accounting practices, or HR-based softwares that involves the basic HR activities that will be performed in any type of a company. So it is a pre-built software in which the system functionalities are all predefined, but to some extent a few functionalities of the system must be customized. If the entire system development or the software development could take about 6 years to 1 month, having a pre-built software with options to make required changes as per the other business need or the other company's need might take just 3 months. So if you already have a software in place, there are two advantages. One is you can gain the client confidence right at the beginning. Who's your client? Who gives you the project? You can tell them that the software already exists and you have the sample data or the sample workflow that the software can present, or they can use the software and see how the basic workflow is, and any further enhancement to that can be implemented within a very short span of time. One, new software is not created, thereby you're not wasting a lot of time or you're not spending a lot of time. Two, the requirements that comes through will be more specific to the existing system. So there is no scope for any out of box or out of scope requirements that can come from the stakeholder. In the first place, you will be presenting the capabilities that you have as a part of your organization in the software which you've created. So any new changes that comes through will be restricted to the pre-built software that you share with the client. Projects can be dependent or independent in nature. Independent project, an example is building a brand new house. A dependent project is remodeling a kitchen or a living room. So that's the actual example that we can give for what is an independent project and what is a dependent project. Very important, because a business analyst will also play the role of a project coordinator or a project manager. What is a career path of a business analyst? You will start as a business analyst. Next, after 2 to 3 years, you will become a lead business analyst. After 5 to 6 years, you can become a business analyst manager. At times, it takes about 8 to 10 years to become a business analyst manager. Lot of efforts. After working as a business analyst manager for about, say, 10 years, 8 to 10 years, you can choose your career path. Either it could be a technical career path or non-technical career path. If you wish to travel in a technical career path, you can become a business architect or a solution architect, business architect manager, and an enterprise architect. By the time you become a business architect, you'll be 12 years experienced minimum. Business architect manager, 15 to 17 years. Enterprise architect, 20 to 22 years of service. Or in a non-technical career path, you can become a project lead. So say about 8 to 10 years of experience, you can become a project lead. Then you get into a project manager's role, say about 12 to 15 years experience, and then you hit the PMO office, wherein you will have different project managers reporting to you. Say about 20 years of service, you can get into the PMO role. If you choose to become a project manager and get into a PMO role, you need business analysis knowledge, a strong business analysis knowledge for it. You must do your project management certification like PMP. Business analyst also has various certifications, which we will see. But a business analyst process or the entire activities that you perform as a business analyst will surely help you groom yourself into a project manager or move into a PMO kind of a role, or by providing system solutions, participating in solution architecturing of the system, you could very easily become a system architect or a business architect. Then you get into a solutioning architect role. You get to manage the entire projects, solutions, and then you become an enterprise architect for enterprise level projects. What is process?
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just had a quick question for you. You know, at the end of this course, if you decide to move on, do you guys, you know, do you give us a certificate saying that we did this course from you, or there is no certificate? You know, I just wanted to find out.
I think the program coordinator, Kavya, she will be able to answer you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So how different is a process from a project? A process is more domain specific. There will be a software that is created and that is being used in order to implement a process. A Six Sigma group works on process improvement activities. As a business analyst, I already told you that you will be working on asset system study and you will come up with a to-be system modeling. So for that, you must know various concepts of process improvement. You'll be working with the Six Sigma group that primarily targets at process improvement. What is the asset system and how well the asset system can be improved to improve the entire process, for which you have to perform a business process analysis. While you perform a business process analysis, there are various documentations that you have to do and business process modeling diagrams that you have to create. It could be, for an asset system, it will be a reverse engineering wherein you will be tracing back the system, existing system, to create the system or the solution architecture for the asset system, to create a business process model for the asset system. A to-be system or a to-be business process will only deal with what is going to be the proposed system. As an outcome of the asset system analysis, you will come up with process models, business process models for a to-be system or a proposed system. How to find the pain points in the process and propose automation if possible wherever needed. You must know some of the object-oriented basics, functional breakdown of the process. Within a process, what are the various objects that are used? Object means within a system. For example, if it is a car, what are the objects of a car? A car consists of a body, window, central locking system, steering, music system, security system. There are a lot of objects relating to a car. A car is an entity or an object to which there are various attributes or dimensions that describes the object. So within a system, you must identify the objects and the dependencies within the objects. you have to create a functional breakdown of the process, and within each of the functions or functional divisions of a system that is used in a process, you have to identify the entities or the objects and the associated dependencies or attributes, dimensions that define the object or the entity within the system that is used in the process. A system workflow is different from a process workflow. A system can be a part of the process, or the system execution alone can be the entire process. So you have to differentiate how a system gets used in a process. For example, in a hospital management system, you have HMS software that is used for patient registration. A patient visits the hospital. How the patient registration happens from the time the patient enters the hospital, whether the patient is going to visit the receptionist, take the assistance of the receptionist to get registered, get a patient ID, get a patient file, and then gets directed to the specialist whom the patient has to meet. Or should the patient be directed to a diagnostic center or the lab facility for a particular test within the hospital? The process that is followed within the hospital is referred to as the process workflow, whereas the system that is used to manage the patient registration is the system workflow. Collecting the personal details from this patient, filling it in the patient registration form using the software created for it, saving the information, and once the information gets saved, it gets displayed to the receptionist. The receptionist reviews the details and takes a printout. Printout is then put into a file and given to the patient. So this is a system workflow. But a patient visiting the hospital, approaching the receptionist directs the patient to the specialist, but before that there will be an assistant who will check for what is the kind of a health issue or a problem that a patient has come to the hospital for, and directing them to the correct department to meet a specialist. This is referred to as the process workflow. This is the workflow defined within the hospital. Whether there is a software or not, this process will be followed. So it becomes a process workflow. But within this process workflow, each of the functions or the parts of the process workflow is divided into a system workflow, which again creates different functions of the system. Patient registration is one of the functions. Receptionist accepts the patient's personal details, feeds into the system, and creates a printout, collects the printout, creates a patient file, and gives it to the patient. So there are a lot of technical tasks that have to be performed, or a software system-based tasks that are performed in order to ease the process or make it much faster. Rather than having printouts for patient registration on the table, if there are about 200 patients a day, about 30 days a month, 6,000 patients a month, about 2,000 patients a year, is it going to be very easy to get a file that a patient has filled, and each patient can have n number of revisits to the hospital? So one visit per patient itself gives you 72,000 visits. So if there are revisits, that can be in 100,000s, right? 200,000, 500,000 visits. So how are you going to get that file, particular file of a patient? You cannot run into a record room to get the patient's file, right? So you need a system that can automate the entire process, and that's what is referred to as the system workflow. Mapping the business rules. We will see what is the difference between a business rule, a business requirement, and a business case. Mapping the business rules to the business requirement means a requirement, business requirement, can have any basic need for a business, but not all requirements can be executed. Alright? If your business requirement says a patient name can appear twice in the system, but there is a business rule that a patient's registration can happen only once. How do you manage this? If there are n number of visits of the patient, your business requirement says each and every visit of the patient should be captured along with the patient name. But there is a business rule that only once the patient name should go into the database. It shouldn't be redundant. So what will happen? When a patient's name is entered into the database for the first time, a patient ID gets generated. Every time the patient visits the hospital, instead of entering details about the patient with the patient name, the patient ID will be used, which is a unique ID assigned. So that becomes a business rule or a business terms and conditions, the need. What is requirements management? There are so many requirements that you can get while you have discussion with n number of people when you're working on a project. How do you manage these requirements? How do you categorize the requirements? Requirements are broadly classified into functional requirements and non-functional requirements. As I already told you, a functional requirement deals with the functionality of the system, and non-functional requirements deals with the performance of the system, security aspect of the system, maintenance of the system, adaptability or usability of the system, portability of the system. So all these aspects are referred to as non-functional requirements of the system, but are very much needed. So whatever is the requirement that you gather while you have discussion with varied audience must be categorized and grouped together for you to differentiate which requirement should go into which part of the system or the system functionality development. As I already told you, there are various tools available in the market for BA. As a business analyst, you must be thorough with MS Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Access. If you have the knowledge, it's good. Jira, it's a CRM tool. Jira is primarily used to manage the workflow for ticket creation and closure of ticket, working on the tickets and closing the tickets. So that's why you use Jira. You have Confluence. Confluence is also used for your requirement gathering or any of the BA activity purposes. Balsamiq is an alternative to Pencil for creating wireframes. There are many configuration management tools that are specific to the organization. There is another tool called Rational Rows and Rational Pro Requisite. These tools are primarily used. Rational Rows is used for creating good diagrammatic representation, and another tool called Rational Pro is used for gathering the requirements. If the organization uses these tools, these would be specific to the organization and they will train you on these tools. So you don't have to worry about any of these tools, but you must be clear about how to use Pencil, Visio in detail. Without Visio, getting to be a BA is very difficult. Visual Paradigm for use case modeling, Office, MS Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Access. These are a must. What are the various certifications for business analysts? Certification of Competency in Business Analysis, CCBA from IIBA. As I already told you, BABOK, that is the body that creates the standard to be followed by a standards to be followed by business analysts. So there are so many members of business analysts who are within BABOK, and every day they contribute to improvise the standards of BABOK. BABOK stands for Business Analysts Body of Knowledge. BABOK guide will be shared with you all, and you can also follow the IIBA for new standards that gets added after this program to keep yourself up to date with the business analysis process. You can subscribe to IIBA. You can also become a member of IIBA. When you become a member of IIBA, you will get good discounts while you intend to pursue CCBA certification from them. IIBA also offers Certified Business Analysis Professional. After completing this course, you will have a thorough knowledge about the business analysis process, and you will be industry ready to become a business analyst. We will give you all the supporting templates, documents, diagrams, modeling techniques. Everything will be taught to you. Assignments will be given to you. Case studies will be given to you. So when you practice those, you are very much ready to take up a business analysis certification from IIBA, or you can also get it done from PMI, that is from your Project Management Institute. PMI PBA, that's the first level of certification, and after this, once you practice business analysis as a business analyst and also project management activities, when you perform project management activities, there is a restriction on the number of hours you have to practice. Say 2000 hours of a BA experience or a project coordination experience will make you eligible to take up a PMP certification. So the rulings keep changing. They have new set of flexible rulings added. So you have to go through these websites, approach IIBA or PMI and register yourself as a member. Prepare yourself for the exam. Get good hands-on by taking up a job as a business analyst or as a project coordinator in an organization, in a software company, and then you can complete these certifications. How will be a business analyst day at work? As a business analyst, what will you do as soon as you go to your desk when you join a company? 8 a.m. You will organize and attend the daily stand-up call with the project team. A daily stand-up call is a part of the Scrum activity. 9 a.m. Meet with the stakeholders or users to understand the new business needs or enhancement to the existing business process. 11 a.m. Review the newly suggested IT process. Plan meetings to identify the requirements. 12 p.m. Meet the development team and business users to gather the functional details of the suggested process. 1 p.m. Create requirement document to capture all the requirements discussed to illustrate and validate the requirements understanding. 2 p.m. Meet the development team to review the requirements captured and discuss about the possible design of the user interface, graphical user interface. 3 p.m. Work with the testing team to see what is the test progress relating to a software to be delivered. 4. Create minutes of the meeting and circulate. So whatever meetings you have attended throughout the day, you have to create minutes of the meeting and you have to circulate. So there is document starting from stakeholder analysis, communication plan, session, how do you facilitate the session, how do you record the observations. For each and everything there is a template that we will be sharing with you. It's going to make your life much easier as a business analyst because it's going to be a very busy time working as a business analyst in whichever domain, irrespective of the domain that you choose, right? Because most of the time you will be spending on documentation, creating visual diagrams, visual representations of the understanding, translating the business requirement into a functional requirement, creating system design, and organizing meetings. Along with this, you must organize meetings. You have to meet up with people. You have to participate in JAD session. What is a JAD session? A JAD session is referred to as a joint application development session. You should always be a part of the sprint review. Sprint review happens bi-weekly. So you have to be behind the development team to see that the sprint items have been implemented before the sprint meeting. Every 2 weeks once in agile implementation, your sprint review will happen, and the sprint review you have to show some screen. You have to show some development improvement. Otherwise you cannot close the sprint, and you cannot have a lot of sprint backlogs. Sprint backlog burn down should happen regularly. Plan for the next day. Fill in the sprint log for bi-weekly Scrum meeting follow-ups. 5 p.m. Meet with the management group to give an update about the ongoing project improvements along with the project manager, and discuss about the bottlenecks if you have found any in your day-to-day activity. So this is going to be a complete schedule, and there could also be on calls to connect with your on-site teams to give a work update regularly, what you have done. Right? So you must be very thorough with the business analysis process, because there's no time for you to learn and do things. Within a month or 2 months of joining, once you get the domain knowledge, you will get very busy with the software that gets created, because you must know in and out of what is happening with the project. Only a BA and a project manager will know in and out of what is happening with the product that is getting developed and the project, how is the project getting executed? Is the project plan on track? Or the milestones getting met on a day-to-day basis? Every day there will be a task created in the project by a project manager. He will be tracking it. End of the day, there should be an update from each of the team. And if the project manager is not clear about the technical aspect of if the milestones have been met or not, he will contact the business analyst. A business analyst should have all the information about the modules planned for the day and what are the modules that have been covered, which have been closed. In between, a developer may say, I'm supposed to do something with the XML, but I don't have the sample data to work with. How do I write the code? So what will happen? The developer will contact the development lead, the technical lead, and the technical lead will contact you in turn. Or a development resource, a software engineer, can directly contact a business analyst. He would just tell you that I need the data to complete the system implementation. Up to the time you give the data, the developer will not do the coding part. He will sit idle. If he doesn't have any other module to implement or write a system code, he will remain idle. So you have to take the initiative to close the issue that comes to you from a development team or a testing team or from a project team, whichever team, at the earliest, along with the other tasks that you have to perform. That's why we say there is no end to a business analyst activity. This job is going to be more secure because, be it whichever domain, up to the time software development happens in the software industry, there's going to be a place for a business analyst, and it's going to be a highly challenging job because you have to do the interaction part, organization part, you have to organize meeting, get people to meet, you have to perform discussions, you have to collect the information from the discussion, you have to do as process study to be processed, to be modeled. There are a lot of tasks that a business analyst would do. Setting up priorities is another important activity that a business analyst should always do. Determine the schedule for the project. How much work should be completed daily to finish the project within the agreed upon time frame. Outline all materials, man hours and time needed for the project completion. Document the priorities with a matrix. What is due? When is it due? Where to focus? These are the points that a business analyst should always have in their mind to get the task done on time and with accuracy. Accuracy, timeliness, completeness. Most important metrics or parameters to be measured. Set your task due dates and assignments. Be self-organized. Be a self-starter. What is feasibility study? Help answer the question of should we proceed with the proposed project idea or not? Not all projects will go live, will be accepted. There are projects which will get into this discussion stage, will last for about 15 days or 1 month, and then it may get dropped out. Why? Because it has failed in the feasibility study. The infrastructure within your organization, human expertise or technology-based expertise of your organization, IT and non-IT infrastructure of your organization must support the project or the business needs that you get. If it is not possible, make sure that you don't go ahead to accept the project. Whether a go or no-go decision must be taken collectively. I'm underlining it, collectively. It is not an individual decision. It is a group decision. Propose alternatives if possible. Identify new opportunities through analysis and understanding process. Identify reasons for not proceeding with a solution and document it. End of the year, a business analyst will be checked for the number of business leads that have come through. What are the leads that are converted into an opportunity and which has gone in for a system implementation? If you're saying no to a project or to a business requirement, you must have a proper reason for it and you have to document it. There shouldn't be a case where they say you just said no to it, but you could have tried your best for it. So you have to make all possible attempts or find alternatives even before you say a no to a particular requirement or to a project. A no-go decision should be collectively taken. There should be a proper justification, a business case for it, and you have to document it. Enhance the probability of success by addressing and mitigating factors early that could affect the project. Gap analysis, impact analysis, risk management. We will see these in detail. Provides quality information for decision making. Prepares and provides documentation that the business venture was thoroughly investigated. With this, we complete the theory part of today's session. So following this, we will go through the SDLC methodology, very, very important, the agile methodology. But prior to that, I want you to create a Word document to capture requirements from a stakeholder. You can choose a domain or vertical of your choice, hospital management or HR management, manufacturing, whichever domain. Imagine the stakeholder is giving you a project. What are the various questions that you will ask the end user or the stakeholder? If possible, format the document, Word document, add a header and a footer, create a table of content, if you can do it. Otherwise, we will see how to do all of these in a Word document in our future sessions. For the benefit of newly attending participants, I will show you what are the various templates and documents that we will be covering. So we have all these templates, say more than 100 templates that we can share with you. We have templates for everything, starting from a stakeholder analysis. So how stakeholder analysis is done? What is the information that you will gather about the stakeholder? What's going to be a project steering team, which is the core project team? And within your steering team, how do you define the project sponsor of different business units and various details about your project team? So this is the very first document that you will create to understand about your stakeholder. So once your stakeholder analysis is done, we will move on to the communication plan. So in the communication plan, we will see how well you can organize the communication. What are the different types of communication that you might require? We have a communication plan template. That was just a summary that I showed you. So we have a communication plan template and a communication need template. So in a communication plan template, we have the activity, purpose of communication. So we already have a filled in document. So documents will have the filled in information for various templates, and you also have the blank templates where you can directly use it to fill in the required template. So here is another example. This is how a communication plan template should get filled in. A project contract sign off. To sign off the project contract that defines the terms and conditions for billing. Audience, entire stakeholder group. When are you going to do that? Delivery method, email, document, repository. So what is the delivery method? What is the way, the method in which the actual communication is going to be delivered? Is that one-to-one meeting, group meeting, or a document distribution? Hard copy, email, shared repository, etc. Then what is the presentation method? Verbal, visual presentation, handouts. So here it is a written communication. Documentation format, you have text format, table format, diagram format, or models, a combination of text and diagrams. What is the level of formality? Is that a formal document or an informal document? It's a formal document because sign off is required. Where? In the company premise. So this is a kind of communication plan that you have to create for any of the system that you develop. So here I have taken an example of HRMS. HRMS stands for Human Resource Management System version 1.0. That is a software that is getting created for which a communication plan should be created. So here's a very simple filled in template that has an explanation for each and every column that is involved, the most specific columns. Generic columns, you know what to fill in there. And samples of what information has to be filled in within the template will also be given to you. So if you join a bigger company, they can have a standard template which will look very much similar to this. You can use those templates, or if you're joining a startup or a mid-sized company, they may not have any such standard templates, and they may expect you to set these standards for documentation as a business analyst. So at that time, you can use these templates directly and you can set standards within your organization. Other than that, we have good documentation for business requirement document. So we have seen three important documents, right? One is the BRD, functional and non-functional requirement document, SRS document, that is the software requirement specification document, and the technical documentation. So here is a very good example of how you create the BRD. So within BRD, so here is a very good example of how you can fill in the sprint details. Sprint 1, Sprint 2, how do you review and how the document changes are going to happen based on the sprint details that you capture on a bi-weekly basis. So all these details will be shared with you. You can directly use these documents. So here you have an explanation of each and every topic to be written within the document, and a sample of the software which is created and how the data is written or the data is fed into each of the topics or the structure of the document. Everywhere, what is in scope, what are the details that should go within each of these topics or the sections of the document. So if it is a workshop that you would like to conduct, then what are the various details that you have to capture? How do you organize a workshop, and what are the various details that you will have to discuss during the workshop? So this is a complete checklist. So it's a very formal way of conducting a workshop, and once you have a session to be created, you will have the session template in which you can fill in the required details and you can circulate it. So these are all easier way of, or a very presentable way of creating sessions, facilitating a session. Very important. As a business analyst, you must know all this. Software testing, we have so many documents relating to software testing. How do you write a test case? So here's a sample system integration test scenario. We'll see different types of testing and where as a manual tester or a business analyst you will participate. So here is a very good test scenario and we have the test cases written for the test scenario. So here is a simple .NET tool that is required for checking a calculator that is created using a VB.NET framework. So first test case, you have a test case number. How do you write a test case description? What is the expected result and actual result? So this is a default template that you can directly use to create a test scenario and a test case. So we will also see how to create test strategy, how to create a test plan. A sample test strategy test plan will be given to you. So which you can directly use as a quality assurance personnel or as a business analyst. You have to participate in the quality assurance activity. So here's a sample test plan. What are all the details that you have to capture within the test plan? We have a very nice template to capture the minutes of the meeting. So prior to minutes of the meeting, we also have a meeting template that should be filled in when you circulate it to your end user or the people whom you're going to invite for the meeting. So this is a very nice meeting template. You can directly fill in this table and you can circulate the document or you can put it on your Outlook. It captures all the required information relating to the meeting and each of these can be documented for your reference. So here is another document. So once you have the meeting agenda circulated, then you have to conduct the meeting or a session. I've told you how you can do that. And then you also have the minutes of the meeting. So every day at the end, you have to create minutes of the meeting. So here is a filled in minutes of the meeting. We will see this in detail. How do you fill in minutes of the meeting and how do you circulate? A blank template is also given to you so that you can fill in the details and you can circulate it. So we have so many documents that can help with the actual BA process. Many filled in documents, SQL query samples will be given to you, and Tableau, live Tableau work, how to create a Tableau workbook packaged, SWOT analysis, balanced business scorecard, SIPOC, how to create a SIPOC. So all these details will be explained to you. Other than these, we will also give you sample projects, 2 different projects. These 2 projects will have all the details required. So it will have all the system analysis, system design, system architecture, etc. So other than these, we will also be covering different types of Visio diagrams. There are so many Visio diagrams that we can work through. So we will see a sample of the Visio diagrams, how well can we create Visio diagrams and how can it be presented. So here's a sample sequence diagram for various sequence of events that would take place within the system design. So when you create a functional system design, so these are the kind of artifacts or diagrams that they will expect you to create as a business analyst. So what are the easier way to create these kind of diagrams and what each of these representations mean. So we have so many diagrams that we can create. So we have a sample use case diagram over here that's created using Visio. We will also see how to create a detailed use case modeling. So in the use case modeling, we will be covering how to create a use case scenario, and then we will see how to create a simple use case diagram and use case diagram with various other concepts. What is include, what is extend, when will you use general, generalization, dependency kind of features within use case. Okay. So in the next session, we will start with a simple use case diagram to see how we can create a brainstorming or a legend diagram. So this is a brainstorming diagram, how to create this, and we will also see how to create a simple patient login page. So other than that, we have so many other diagrams, more than about 30-35 diagrams in Visio, and we have some diagrams to be learned on visual paradigm as well, along with the wireframing. Open to questions. Okay, Zhong Liu has a question. What time is it due for the assignments? Assignments will be posted on a daily basis after the session. So here you have on the blog, for which you can get an access from the course coordinator. You have an option for assignments. I will be posting the questions. You will have to go through the questions, prepare the assignment, and you have to post it on the blog. As soon as you post the assignment, I will get an email. I will then review the assignment and give my feedback on the blog. You can take your time to finish the assignment. If you can do it within 2 days, you can do that. If you can do it within 1 week, you can do that. You need 2 weeks of time, you can take that and you can do it. Or if you're too busy with your project and you're not able to do the assignments on time, not an issue. You'll have the access to blog and all the resources in the blog for a very longer time. You can check with the program coordinator about the duration, etc. Whenever you find time, try to finish the assignments. At a later date is also fine, but it would be good if you can do the assignments regularly so that you can get hands-on, and by end of this course, you will be prepared to take up an interview. Only by listening to the course or the explanation and looking through the videos, you might not get hands-on when it comes to writing a document or creating diagrams. For that, you will have to work on the assignments and try to get good hands-on. You can take time with it, not an issue. I understand that you are all working professionals, so you are working in other companies and you have projects. So it's not a must. There's no strict timeline for you to complete the assignment. But my suggestion to you all is please do it on time. Is Tableau and Visio free software for us too? We have a question from Sonia. Is Tableau and Visio free software for us to practice? Do they have free demo sessions? Tableau and Visio are free for a set period. Tableau desktop version is available only for 14 days. If you are a student, you can get the academic license for 1 year. It's free of cost. You have to produce your student ID card to them. You can do it online. Visio is a free trial software for 60 days, 2 months from the day you install it on your system. After which you have to procure the license. You're right, Donglu. It's not free. You have to pay for it after 2 months. After 2 months, you can get good hands-on with it. For Visio and Tableau, you have demo sessions which you can schedule and you can attend. But they will be showing you only the basic of the product and they will talk about the solution that you can do using the product. But in detail visualization relating to the business analyst is what we will be seeing in our sessions. No problem, Sunil. Any more questions? After every session, we will have the recording posted on the blog on the same day for you to go through the session again so that you can revise the concepts. Any other question? All the training materials will be shared with you the day you enroll for the program. Access to the blog will be provided by the program coordinator. Any technical or personal assistance relating to placement or any blog related activities can be obtained from Kavya, who's your course coordinator. Okay. You can also post your questions on the blog for the existing participants who have already enrolled. I'll be glad to answer you all. New participants, if you have any questions, please approach Kavya. I can answer you through Kavya. We'll meet you in the next session. Have a good day. Bye all.